What's goody, y'all? My name is Eli Blacide. We are Hood for Hood translations of the Bible. Genesis chapter 18 is where we're going to start today. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Sorry it's been taking me so long to upload a new video and whatnot. I started school this week, graduate school to be exact. So, I just been a little frazzled and whatnot, which, first and foremost, thank you, God, for even this opportunity to be in school. But also, Lord, although you've always done it before, I need you to figure out how this is going to be paid, because I ain't got no money and I ain't even working. So, yeah. Lord, figure out how it's going to be paid, Lord. But also, too, like I said, it's just been a lot with me, I guess, trying to get back in the kick of school and whatnot. So, literally, I said right now I'm finna to record all of my content for the week. Not even for the week, for the previous week that I had missed. And therefore, so I can be set up for next week. But then, like I said, after I finish my content, I'm going to do a deep clean of the whole room, because things just coming up missing. And I feel like it's that cat. I told y'all about my mama got that little cat and whatnot, even though she said it's mine now. But regardless, I feel like he taking stuff out of my room. Oh, also, too, if y'all don't remember, it's a boy. I think I told y'all before it was a girl. We all thought it was a girl, but it's a boy. So, yeah. Regardless, I feel like he got a little spot somewhere in the house where he's taking all my stuff. Because I'm not crazy. Like, I might be crazy, but I ain't crazy. You feel me, knocking? That's neither here nor there. So, as we get into it for this week, we gon' once again start at, because I read 15, I read 16. Did I read 17? The birth of Ishmael. The renewal of the covenant and the birth of Ishmael. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, he appeared to Abram. Yeah, I think I read that one. Yeah. So we're going to start on Genesis chapter 18. Sorry, y'all. Let me try and get a little more lively. My voice kind of... Woo! Voice sounded kind of melancholy. Still sound a little bit, but not as much. So, like I said, now we are going to do chapter 18 in the chapter 18. Oh my gosh. And the subheading title of this chapter is the symbol of the covenant. Boom. Chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Maim. Ooh, who are we talking about? And all the men housed born into the house and bought the money of the stranger were circumcised with him. Oh, so if you remember what we just talked about, we was talking about the birth of Ishmael and then the renewal of the covenant. So God had told Abraham to circumcise himself as well as every man in his house, whether he bought him with money, whether he was born in the house, even the ones in which he bought with money, if they was born in the house, all the men had to get little tip chopped off. So yeah, circumcised. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word for a moment. Sorry, I told y'all my brain a little not really here right now. But so boom, that's who we are talking about when he says, and the Lord appeared to him. So of course, we're going to chapter 18. We're talking about Abraham once again. And the Lord appeared unto him into the plains of Maim, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lift up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. Verse 3. And said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. For let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. Now, this is something I just want to emphasize. Like, the washing of the feet was something that was done a lot back then. It's like, as much as I believe they had shoes of some manner, so that way they wasn't just walking barefoot, of course, through the sands, through the grounds and whatnot. They had shoes, but to wash your feet was to, of course, cleanse yourself of the path you just walked. It was essentially a way to remove spirits that were on you. I think there's this quote that says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And not even the simple fact that everyone's coming into the house, of course, is serving the Lord. But when you come into the house, you have to have a certain level of peace. No one is supposed to come into your house with their baggage, with their demeanor, with their attitude, energy, all type of things. So to wash your feet, literally to wash it, was not only to cleanse it, of course, from the path you have just taken, but then to cleanse the other things that were attached to the journey as well, that are attached to you. So of course, to cleanse your feet. And that's why even now you have like Asian cultures who remove their shoes before you're able to come into their house. Like they leave them right at the door. You even got some. I'm gonna do the same thing when I get moved. I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. Y'all gonna have to take your shoes off. No, I'm not buying those little. They got little like blue slips now that you just put your foot in, pop out, and it puts like little socks or little coverings over the shoes. Like if you was in a hospital. I'm not buying all that. That's a waste of money. Take your shoes off if you want to come in this house. Otherwise, you can stay at the door. That's neither here nor there. I just want to emphasize that washing your feet was a common practice during this time, because you, of course, had to come in anew. You had to come in on a certain type way, certain type form. That's neither here nor there. Let's continue. Verse 5. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for thereof are ye come to your servants. And they said, so do as thou hast said. Verse 6. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 measure of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the earth. Now, it says measures of fine meal, but when it says knead it and then make cakes upon the earth, actually, I'll search it while I got my phone. But I know one of the things she was making was bread. I just remember that. But let's search it while we got it. Blue. What verse was that? Hold on. Y'all doing too much. Verse 7. Genesis 18, verse 7. Alright, so boom. In the English Standardized Version, it says, and Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf. Hold on, wait. Genesis 18, verse 7. And Abraham unto the herd. Oh, no. So it was 6. I'm sorry. And Abraham went quickly into the tent to Sarah and said, quick, 3 seas of 3 seas of fine flour, kneaded and make cakes. So yeah, she was making bread. But also we're going to search what seas mean, which I think if I go to the end, it'll tell me. That was 18:6. A sea was about 7 quarts or 7.3 liters. So he was saying, hey, get the bread ready. I need you to make it. There's 3 fine men out here. Boom. Verse 8. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and sat it before them. And he stood by them under. Hold on. I'm sorry. I skipped verse 7. Verse 7. And Abraham ran into the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. So, of course, dress it, basically, they was going to kill it and cook it up. He was going to make it right. Dress it, of course, so it could be presented to the fellow men he was about to share a meal with. Verse 8. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. Verse 9. And they said unto him, where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according. Hold on, I'm sorry, I need a little more light. And I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life, and to Sarah thy wife, shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Sorry. Verse 11. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner. And it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So basically, what they are saying with that one is Abraham had stopped having relationships with her. So it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Of course, husbands are supposed to have relations, or let's not say supposed to, I hate that title, but it's common for husbands and wives to have relations, but of course they are old in this manner and whatnot, so they are saying they stopped having relations. So we're of course going to get into that thinking in that line of divulgence right there. Verse 12. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? So even like I said right there, she's saying we're old as I don't know what. Who's supposed to have pleasure in sex, let alone have sex? Look, she wasn't even just saying let's have sex. Like, she's saying who's supposed to have pleasure. Like, we old, we tired. Our days consist of getting up, running the house, and going back to sleep. Like, she was talking that talk. Verse 13. And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I not assuredly bear a child which am old? Verse 14. Is anything too hard for the Lord? In the time appointed I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. So right there he was like, yo, like, I don't feel like Sarah was laughing like to laugh and deny God. But she was laughing, be like, yeah, like, we old. Like, I don't really plan on having a child at this old. And it like, they saying this and whatnot, but like, that I'm 90 plus years old. Like, let's talk about it. Especially after you promised Eve that now, therefore, all your generations, every woman is gonna have birth in pain. What am I supposed to do with a child at this age? But he was like, yo, like, hey, you need to handle your wife. Because if I said you gonna have a child, you gotta have a child. I'm so sorry to let you know. Like, you finna have a child at 90. Yes, because I'm not done with you. Like, that's really what it is. So he was talking his talk too. Verse 15. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou did laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. Verse 17. The Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? 18. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. Verse 20. And the Lord said, because of the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry in which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. Verse 22. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Sorry, the righteous with the wicked. Verse 24. Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? Now, peradventure means perhaps. I don't know why. That's how they formulated it back then and whatnot. But peradventure means like perhaps or maybe. So it's like, maybe there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? Or, of course, perhaps there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place of the 50 righteous that there are within, that are therein. Sorry. So once again, peradventure means perhaps, maybe. And of course, they're going to use that term a lot. I've read that a lot in my times of reading the Bible. So we're going to, of course, get back into that. So recall that vocabulary word of the day, peradventure. Verse 25. That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. We're going to get back to that. Verse 27 to remember. Verse 28. Peradventure, there shall I lack 5 of the 50 righteous, wilt thou destroy all of the city for the lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. So right here, he's bartering. He's telling God, what he says what if I lack the 5? So what if I find 45 instead of 50? He said, if you find 45 righteous, I still will not destroy it. And as you're going to see, he going to keep lowering the number. But he's really just talking to God, be like, yo, like, come on now, like, let's see what you can do. As y'all know when people be like, oh, I can do it for $20. Somebody say 10, and then they say 15, and then they say 13, and they be like 14 final offer. This is what is given. This is what's going down. Verse 29, and he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, verse 30, sorry. And he said unto him, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. As you see, he already moving smooth with it. Because what? He started at 50, then he went down to 45, then he went down to 40. He jumped from 40 to 30. He said, all right, let's go ahead. Let's stop playing with you. Let's go ahead and make the jump. You feel me knocking? So, boom. Neither here nor there. Not neither here nor there. Like I said, he's bartering at this point. 30, verse 31. And he said, behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure thou should be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. 32. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once more. But this once. Peradventure shall be found there. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way, and as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. So, boom. They ended up settling on 10. And of course, Sodom and Gomorrah was supposed to be this wicked land, in the sense of they was just doing all type of things. And of course, as many people say, it was just a land where they was just having sex. Men was having sex with other men or whatnot. No, they was raping people. They was killing people. They was doing all type of things. And so that's why even it says Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous. So of course, there's people within Sodom and Gomorrah that I think, if I remember correctly, I will go down there, whether the sea have done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come unto me. They was crying unto the Lord and whatnot. The people, some of the people there, of course, not everybody there, because somebody gotta not be crying in order for crime to be happening and whatnot. But so that's what's going down and whatnot. And so he was like, yeah, you not even, at first he was like, you not gonna find 50. And so 50 righteous people there. If you find 50, if you don't find 50, I'm sorry, I'm going to slay the whole town. I'm going to just burn it up. Boom. The fire, castration, whatever. Burn it, blow it, whatever God was doing back then. And so then, as much as Abraham, I don't know if he fully had faith or if he didn't have faith that he'd find 50 or whatnot. Because at the same time, he didn't dealt with Sodom and Gomorrah before when they stole Lot. kidnapped Lot. He done done with them. He didn't dealt with them when he had that little war and whatnot, and he had to chop up the other little kings, and he had when he had to ride to go get Lot. Yeah, so like he ain't no newbie to it, but so then once again he started bothering. He was like, well, if there be righteous in there, righteousness outweighs sin as much as we think it's on equals terms. And I don't even mean that in an individual. I don't mean as in a certain individual, like you're doing one righteous thing and then you're doing one sin too. Like you can't get it both ways like that. But a person that is known to be righteous will always have more grace and hold more weight than a person who is filled with sin. And not even sense of just being filled with sin, living lusciously in that sin and whatnot. A person of righteous will always hold more weight, will always be more valuable, especially to God. So as much as what at this point, I feel like they gave us the ratio. One person, no, they didn't give us the ratio. I was finna say 1 to 10, but 10 was the amount he had to find. So regardless, as many people as in the whole city were not righteous, Abraham ended up settling, was like, if I find 10, will you still not destroy the city? And God said, boom, cool, calm, collected. God, to be honest, God was saying, based on the cries they giving me, I don't think you find the 10. But Abraham said, yeah, if I find 10 righteous men, will you let it go? Will you keep the city? And he said, yeah. So, boom. That's what we ended up settling on. We're going to take a break and get to 19 in a minute. What's goody, y'all? Once again, my name is Eli Blessed. We're going to hop right into Genesis chapter 19. This subheading is called Abraham Pleads with God. Ooh. Actually, I wonder if that was the last one. And there came two. No, not right. Actually, I'm lying. So I was correct. 18 was named Abraham Pleads with God. I had originally said it was the symbol. No, God's promise to Sarah. No, and that's definitely what we talked about. The promise to Sarah. So 19 will be Abraham Pleads with God. Yeah. No. All right. 19 is either going to be Abraham Pleads with God or two angels visit Lot. No, destruction of the fire. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's one that we gonna see as we go through the reading and whatnot. Which one is talk about? The reason I had said it's actually two angels visit Lot is because literally the first verse says, and then there came two angels. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this one is two angels visit Lot. And even though I think that the headings that I told y'all, that God's promise to Sarah as well as Abraham pleads with God, I think those are both attuned or attributed to chapter 18. Because when you get to the end, that's when he was pleading with God. He was like, all right, if I don't find 50, but I find 45, like, what's up? What's up if I find 40? What's up if I find 30? So, of course, that is a plead, not in the colloquial sense, I guess, of the word plead, but of course, within that bargaining, you are pleading with them. So, once again, I'll answer those in a minute. Once again, two angels visit Lot. Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. And there came two angels to Sodom, and even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. And he said, behold now, my Lord turns in. I pray you into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we shall abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon, verse 3. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Now I'm gonna look this up because it literally says, and then there came two angels. But of course, angels don't eat in the sense eating with men. So I'm wondering if they just meant two righteous within the land. Of course, it's gonna be hard to prove that because when you're talking about representations of the Bible, they kind of. All right, so boom. Starting English Standardized Version, it dad says two angels as well. And he sat down, turns aside, spend the night and wash your feet, that you may rise up early. Yeah, it says two angels. And that's crazy. To me, it's not giving like the angels of the Lord. And that actually might be proof right there. Every other time an angel has been talked about, it always says an angel of the Lord has came. An angel of the Lord appeared upon Abraham. Stuff like that. There was always an angel of the Lord. This time it simply says two angels. And therefore, I am believing it is just two righteous people. Two, as we know, angel spirits all over, or not even all over, just within this world. Like, versus everybody else, this person has an energy, a calling, a grace upon them that amasses a certain type of energy. I'm believing is what's happening here too. Because two angels, they don't say two angels of the Lord. And it's two of them. Anytime God sent anybody else, I feel like he sent only one angel. When it was God's angel, only one of them popped up. So the two also lets me, propose. There we go. That it's actually two people. Also, too, like I said, you had to wash your feet. You had to, and that right there, angels already have grace. So what they got to wash their feet for? Even if they did even if you saw them walking upon the ground, their grace would automatically cleanse them. I believe. I feel like I was saying. So I believe these are two people. But verse 4. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house. Compassed the house round, both old and young, and all the people from every quarter. 5. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. Boom. That lets me know right there. Like I said, two angels, they were two spirits of God. They were two righteous, actually, that God was looking for. And as it was saying, they was like, oh, let us know so that we may know them. Of course, they were going to grape them. They were going to have relations with them. And I don't believe that the men wanted them, which we will get into that further on. But of course, that's where we start. So that we may know them. Verse 6. And Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him. 7. And said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not no man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Now, I feel like this has to take a long conversation, because a lot of people say that, oh, it's because they were trying to rape the men. I don't feel like that was true. I feel like it's because they were trying to have relations with it's not the fact that they weren't trying to, of course, grape them and whatnot. Sorry, y'all. I'll be trying to use the trigger warning words or whatever, but I'll be forgetting. Like I said, I'm talking from the Bible, so hopefully I don't get in trouble or nothing, but I'm doing my best. Regardless, I don't believe it was the fact that they was going to grape them. I believe they were going to grape them when they did not want to be and such, and then they had came into the house of Lot. And the reason I had came to that conclusion was, one, Lot was more than freely willing to give up his daughters. He faithfully said, do what you want to them. They have not known men. And at that point, I guess women, they kind of were seen as property. Like, they didn't really have a choice in such, which I don't like it regardless. I don't like that Lot did that. Even though it did, as you'll see, it did not occur. Regardless, I don't like that he gave them up. And that's something I'll talk about with God. I'm like, why would you allow Lot to say this and not crash out on him? But hey, like I said, I believe it's the simple fact, because they are now, which once again we had just talked about, the covenant of Abraham now covers Lot as well. And so now that they have entered into his house, especially as righteous people, God's going to protect them, point blank, period. So yeah, like, nah, y'all can't pull up in here. Like, and y'all see how Lot closed the door. Regardless, y'all not coming in here. So I'm going to close this door to let y'all know this is my house. We are protected by the Lord, and these are two angels, even though they are not angels of the Lord. These are two righteous people in this town of wickedness. So yeah, no, it ain't going down like that. Boom. Da-da-da, behold, da-da-da. Verse 9. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs to be judged now. Will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot. And they said, only unto these men do nothing, therefore come unto thy shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will need to be a judge, and he will needs be a judge now. Will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed, I was right, and they pressed upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. And they smote the men, verse 11, and they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. All right, I'm going to read the English Standardized Version of that, because that was a lit. Everything wasn't translating in that one. So what we got? We got verse 9 through 11. All right, verse 9. But they said, stand back. And they said, this fellow came to sojourn, and he has become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and drew near to break the door down. So even though in this one it says the man even Lot, it's meaning they pressed against Lot. So they are saying Lot is now coming to judge us, and we're gonna end up dealing with you worse once we deal with them, type thing. But of course, in verse 10, but the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house, and they said, and shut the door. Brought Lot into the house with them. These were, of course, the angels that were in the house. Then in verse 11, and they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house, both small and great, so that they wore themselves out groping for the door. I don't know how they struck them with blindness, but that sounded like they was poking eyes out. Because if I remember correctly, even in the Bible, it says, if you're going to commit adultery, pluck your eyes out. And so when it says struck them with blindness, it's given, I don't feel like they threw some dirt or something. I feel like they literally plucked their eyes out and like, all right, cool, y'all want to play with me? I'm going to play with y'all. Now y'all finna ever look for the door. Boom. Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons and thy daughters and whatsoever thou hast in the city? Bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy you. So these was the two men God sent to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. I guess they didn't find. They did not find 5 or 10. They found the 2. 2 was the righteous. That's all they found. And therefore they were sent to destroy the land because they didn't find the 10. Quota was 10. They couldn't find 8 more. That's what it's given. Verse 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that unlocked unto his son-in-law, that mocked unto his son-in-law. 15. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. 16. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon his hand of his wife, and upon the hand of 2 daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the cry. 17. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he had said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Verse 19. Behold, now thy servant thy servant hath forced grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewed unto me into saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold, now the city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. If isn't it not a little one, and my soul shall live. Verse 21. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zor. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered unto Zor. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities with all the plains, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abram gat up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. Verse 28. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all of the land of the plain, and behold, and lo, the smoke of the country went up in the smoke of a furnace, as the smoke of a furnace. Verse 29. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow. When he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. Verse 30. And Lot went out of Zor and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him. And he feared to dwell in Zor. And he dwelt in a cave he and his 2 daughters. Verse 31. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Verse 32. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. Verse 33. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when they lay down, or when she arose. This is crazy to me. Crazy story to me. Because although, as you see, Lot didn't know, he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. I need y'all first off to stop drinking. Because there was also the issue where Noah had blamed Ham, because he got drunk and saw his nakedness. So then now y'all getting drunk and the daughters are sleeping. They're sleeping with their father so that they can become pregnant and have kids. And like I said, that one gives me reference to a guy really didn't know what was going down too much in the beginning times. Like, he set some things in motion. He let them do what they was going to do. And then he realized, oh, yeah, the genome not going to go right if I allow y'all to keep doing that one not. That's why we now live in a time to where that should be shunned upon. Now, I know some of y'all don't shun upon it, either culturally, location-wise, geographically, or even just because you're weird. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. Incest is weird. I'm so sorry to let you know. Y'all not getting me to ever state that that's going to be a cool thing. Point blank period. So yes, the daughters are weird in my head. Anyhow, verse 34. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. 36. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. 37. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Benami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. Now, it's given because they slept with their father that these two were important children. I'm so sorry to let y'all know. Like, yes, they did, of course, start other civilizations in which I feel like will come, or civilizations, humanities, groups, tribes, whatever they called them. Of course, that will become more important later on into the story, because as it says, the Moabites unto this day, which I wonder if they actually still exist, but of course, unto this day that this book was written. And then the Ammons, but it's given because of how they did it. They wasn't getting, like, the blessing wasn't getting no higher than the ceiling. The prayer wasn't getting no higher than the ceiling. That's what I'm feeling like. So yeah, that's chapter 18 and 19. Wild. Very wild. We're of course going to, the destruction of the fire. So yeah, we're going to get into Genesis chapter 20, which that subheading is Abraham and Abimelech. Yep. So, as we catch y'all next week, bless y'all, love y'all, thank y'all for watching. Catch us next week. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, share with y'all friends. Come join us for Bible study. As always, it's been good. It's been a pleasure. Catch y'all.